Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, as you can tell by the title, I have another repair video. This one is another one of my son's phones. It is the Samsung A50. Now, it's kind of hard to tell here, but if I turn the display off, you can see that there are several cracks going down the screen here. You know, he has these phones for about 6 months and then drops them in the bathroom or something, and they always tend to land screen down. And while this one is working and not having any problems, my father-in-law told me the other day that he needs a new phone. So what I thought I would do is I would replace this screen, and I would replace the camera cover here, because as you can see here, the camera cover is a little cracked. So that's the plan for today. And the first step in this process is going to be powering the phone off. And unlike the A50 screen replacement, which I'm going to put a link up here for if you haven't seen that, this whole unit is built into the back of the screen. So what we'll have to do is peel this back. So unlike the A50 screen replacement, which I'll link up here, this is kind of fairly straightforward. We peel this back off, and then everything that we need to replace just gets reslotted here on the new unit. Now this is just the front screen, so we will have to use the side bezel, I guess you'd call it, on the phone. We're going to be swapping everything out, and then I'm going to hopefully pop this lens cover out and replace it with this one. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to want to do is take our heat gun here, and I've got it set to 200 degrees. And all I'm trying to do is get just enough opening on one side, just enough of that glue to let go on one side, so that we can start gently prying this up, because I don't want to damage the back, because I don't have another one. And I've got a razor blade, a plastic pry tool, and a metal pry tool if we have to do that. So 200 degrees, not terribly hot, just trying to warm it up a little bit. We'll see how that does. So the battery's right in here. I don't want to puncture the battery. The goal is to just get, there we go, just like that. And now that we've got an opening, try to get a pry tool in. And I'm just going to run it right along the seam, not applying too much pressure. There is a lot of glue holding this on. And you could use a dropper with some isopropyl alcohol, and that would loosen up the glue a little bit. You may or may not have noticed that the replacement screen did not come with any adhesive on it, so gently prying up the back. And since all of our adhesive came off on the frame, which we're not going to be using, I will probably have to clean all of this off and use some different adhesive. Now I'm going to take a look at this to see if this is actually a feasible repair, or if I just bought something that's never going to work. Oh good, there's stickiness on there, so we're good there. Let's see if we can just pop this out. We can definitely break it. That is for sure. That is very flimsy. See if we can apply a little heat there. Same method we used on the phone. And just like that. It comes up. And then we take our new one, peel the backing off. Put it in the correct way. I'm just kind of wiping off some of the fingerprints from grabbing it the wrong way, but it should work. And there we go. We have our replacement glass. And with that out of the way, we can get on to the fun stuff. So the first thing we have to do is there's like 12 or 13 of these screws to pull out. So we start here. And so far this seems like a easier repair than the Umidigi. The hardest part of this repair is going to be getting the battery out because it has to move over to the new frame. But I think with using just like a credit card or a playing card or something, we should be able to get it out. Now, fun story. The camera that we're using to film this is actually the original Z Flip that I had. That first generation Z Flip that I broke the screen on. I'll link a video up there to that. I gave it to my mother some years ago, and it has started malfunctioning to a point where she can't use it. If she closes it, the whole thing shuts down. The screen, which was replaced by Samsung, has also degenerated because she was leaving the phone open and charging it, and then leaving the display on while the phone was charging. Because my parents charge their phones in the living room, so they're not bothered by the electronics and stuff. So she basically managed to kind of destroy the phone. So the camera still works. So I'm using it with Droidcam OBS. Now that we've gotten all of those screws out, we should be able to do the same thing we did before. Just get our razor blade in here. And just pry. Go this way so that our USB-C port is last. Nope. That's why it looks difficult. There's a screw there. There we go. Very important, remove the SIM card tray. Very important step that I missed there. And there we have it. So this whole back frame we're going to reuse. So we'll put that aside here. Now we're going to remove these two cables. And I'm going to do that from both ends and put those aside. And we're going to disconnect this cable, which is the battery. And then we've got our main board and our sub board here. So I'm going to take this antenna off the main board and pull it out. And then we've got one screw here, which is holding our main board in. Now we're going to have to pull this out and this out too to make things match up. Checking to see if this piece of metal needs to come out as well, but I don't think it is. This is not a like for like, so there will probably be little differences. I'm not sure why there's even that there. That's weird. I guess that's where the rest of the motherboard goes in. So everything looks normal from here. Gently pry up on this. Here we go. We just transplant that over there. All right, so checking this motherboard here, or checking this back frame here, it looks like I should just be able to move this whole frame over and put our one little screw in. And be all set there. And now for our daughter board. Just the two screws holding it in here. And some adhesive apparently. We'll put that back in place. Put our two screws back in place. And then we can realign our antenna cable. You just want to make sure that it gets tucked right back into its little channel here, and that both ends of the antenna are secured in place. Well, there we go. Now for this step, we will need a thin card, so give me just one moment. I have chosen to use a Starbucks card. So the goal of this is to just get underneath the battery and kind of pry up. And we might use just a little heat, not too much. You can't really heat up a lithium-ion battery that much. But if we can just get this whole thing warm enough, I can loosen that glue that's underneath it. Just trying to heat it up from the back. If all else fails, I can use some isopropyl alcohol. I've just got to find a dropper. So in lieu of an eyedropper, I've got a cap full of isopropyl alcohol, and we're just going to put a little bit underneath here. Then hopefully we can start to pry up. Like I said, this is going to be the hardest part of this repair. See if we can use a pry or a and in true repair fashion, all of my plastic pry tools have broken. So be right back. All right, so I've gotten some isopropyl alcohol underneath the battery, I think. And I think that my Starbucks card may be a little too thick to do this. Now, I don't recommend using these metal spludgers, especially on the battery. But in my case, I've kind of run out of options. So just need to get a lip big enough to get the card underneath. There we go. And then from there, we just keep moving the card back and forth. And there we have it. Now I need to wipe this down because it's soaking wet with alcohol. And it doesn't feel like this adhesive is going to work anymore, so we'll use some of the same adhesive that I use on my screens, and this is just like 3M double-sided tape. Just put a couple of lines of that on there. Peel up the backing. Again, being very careful with the sharp objects. Alright, so now we just need to stick the battery into the new housing. We probably should connect it after we get the rest of this on. Then we'll put our number 2 cable back in place. And our number 1 cable back in place. Both of those sit down nicely. We've got our 2 screws here and our 1 screw here. So now we can put our mid frame back on. And for this, you just want to press around the sides until everything snaps into place. Don't want to press too hard. Make sure everything lines up. Then we can put our screws back in. I do like that this phone is not completely held together by glue and that there are screws, which makes it a little bit easier to repair. I do come from a time when we had batteries that could easily be swapped out of devices, and I do miss that, but this isn't too terrible. Almost as easy as some of the new iPhones to repair. Just checking to make sure everything lines up. And making sure everything powers on. Hey, there we go. Now for the back, I'm just checking the lens here on the back. I'm gonna give it a good clean to make sure that I've gotten all of the fingerprints off of it. So we had some off-screen shenanigans, and as you can see, my lens is now in 2 pieces. So Ray, if you're watching this, I will get you a new lens. These should just pop right off. So to temporarily fix this, I was trying to clean this, and I had to clean all the glue off because I dropped it on the floor, and then when I dropped it on the floor, it broke in half. So we're going to try and see if just the tiniest bit of crazy glue will hold us together until we can get a replacement in. Once that dries, it'll be fine. Now, the back is all scratched up, and I could get a replacement back, and I may end up doing that, but for now, I think we're going to be good. If you're lucky when you're doing this rebuild, you'll be able to reuse your adhesive. In our case, I don't think that's going to be a thing, because I don't think this adhesive would stay on. Although, it just might. I will probably just end up replacing the whole back of the phone, as long as my father-in-law is happy with the way the phone acts. He's got an older Motorola or an LG or something, and it's just not working the way it used to. SIM card in there. Display is on. And that's it. There's your screen replacement on a Samsung A50. As always, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video as much as I have making it. My name is Bryant. This is Reviews for Nerds. Have a good day.